Hi everyone, Teeth Boy here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new Iceage album, Seek Shelter. This is the latest full-length LP from Danish rock outfit Iceage. Their fifth full-length album to date, and the band's creative evolution up until this point has been a pretty interesting one. Their debut record is a fierce, cacophonous, post-punk rager that still rocks me to this day. The following record they dropped, You're Nothing, checked a lot of those same boxes, but maybe with a touch bit more finesse. But the true gem in the band's discography is easily 2014's Plowing Into the Field of Love, a record that saw the band channeling their unique chaos into a series of bluesy gothic anthems inspired by the likes of Nick Cave. Not only was this a great project for Iceage, but they sounded like a completely different band at this point. One I was excited to see the future of play out. But strangely enough, 2018's Beyondless, while still a decent LP, seemed to turn the heat down a little bit, with production that didn't sound quite as vivid or colorful, songs that were much more repetitive and one-dimensional structurally. Now, my hope for Seek Shelter was that the band would come back with a vengeance on this one, or at least show there was something to be dug out of the direction they went in on their last LP. But this record didn't really do either of those things. It's kind of its own beast, as there are numerous tracks here that feature these grand layers of rock instrumentation, almost in the style of a late 60s, early 70s Rolling Stones, with a dab of Americana dropping in every once in a while too. The issue is ultimately sometimes this direction works, sometimes it doesn't. In the case of Shelter Song or Love Kills Slowly, Iceage's performatively Slavic vocals and instrumentation get a little bit in the way of these songs shining as brightly as they could or should, especially as the passages of grand group vocals come into play. Now, there is an undeniable tenderness to these tracks that makes them at least a little bit endearing, a slow swaying quality to them that makes you want to whip your lighter out at an arena concert, just vibe into this with like thousands of people. But ultimately, again, because of that sloppiness the band intentionally works into their stuff, these moments don't come across as grand as I think they could. There's also something a little too off about the track Drink Rain as well. I mean, it's obviously cheeky on the band's part to attempt this lounge, jazz, pop song style that seems a little influenced by the Carpenters song Close to You. But as the song draws on, the intentional awkwardness feels more like actual awkwardness, especially on the part of the rhythm guitars. Oddly enough though, the band does seem to muster up enough finesse to pull off the more gorgeous moments of the wider Powder Blue. The tracks High and Hurt as well as Vendetta also make for some pretty great highlights. Maybe because both tracks are generally a bit groovier, more direct and focused. High and Hurt's sinister drum and bass work is a treat, and it's topped with these wailing vocals and guitars, eventually settling into a twisted but genius interpolation of the classic Christian country hymn, Will the Circle Be Unbroken. Meanwhile, the track Vendetta gives off low-down, dirty desert dive bar vibes, and Dear Saint Cecilia sees the band putting their own spin on this driving, exciting rock soul mix that seems very much in line with a song like Ike and Tina Turner's Proud Mary, but like a punked out version of that. Now, the final leg of this record I think is pretty solid. There is the song Gold City, where the Nick Cave vibes pour in as if they're just coming from a broken dam, especially on the verses that are underscored by these dramatic rhythm guitars and pianos. There's a chorus that really struts its stuff, complete with these chord progressions that feel like snorting a line of Springsteen. The Holding Hand is a somewhat curious slow burner. The first leg of it is pretty patience testing, though the dusty strings that pop in around the midpoint and the noisy finish are pretty gratifying. Not the strongest tune here though, but there is still something to be said for the fact that this track and many others throughout this project, lyrically speaking, are very poetic and moving as well as devastating emotionally, which is kind of par the course for Iceage up until this point, just making note of the fact that the lyrics are still good. But yeah, overall I felt this was was a pretty solid release from Iceage. Again, while it's nowhere near as intense or as exciting as the throttling noise punk works of their early discography or the grandeur of plowing into the field of love, this record, like Beyondless, has plenty of highlights. Sure, a few moments here and there that are a little underwhelming, but the band certainly still has it. Feeling a strong 7 to a light 8 on this one. Transition, have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like, please subscribe, and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head, it's another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, music, Iceage, forever.